My name is Susanna Sweeney and I have a super cool topic for you today. Why you feel responsible for everyone else's feelings and how to stop. The reason I'm bringing you this training, because this is something I have seen again and again and again in the last 7 years, and in fact longer. And it seems it's such a huge issue for many people in this group as well, I know. And I think it will really put everything in perspective for you, and you'll begin to understand much more about why you're feeling the way you're feeling if you're watching this video. So let me just see. I've made some slides. I want to show you the slides. I'm working with a software that I'm still not super at home with, so please bear with me. There we are, that looks good. You should now be able to see the slides. So let's do it. Why you feel responsible for everyone else's feelings and how to stop. So this is what we're going to cover today in this training. Number one, common signs that you feel responsible for everyone else. Number two, when are you being considerate and when are you being over responsible, because that's what we're going to call it, over responsible. Number three, how you think when you are being over responsible, because there's a very substantial, important mistake underneath this, which you have to understand, a mistake in thinking and understanding, and that alone can really shift things for you. And number four, over responsibility versus people pleasing, because they're two different things. Number five, where does it come from? How do you learn it? Number six, the cost. Number seven, your actual sphere of influence. And number eight, how to stop. So I think the how to stop really in reality starts from number three. So a lot of really worthwhile content here today. If you can sit through these 20 minutes with me. So let's kick it off. Common signs. So what are some common signs that you are being over responsible? So imagine this and bring your awareness inside. I invite you to do that and feel your way into this. Saying yes to something you do not want because you imagine that the other person might feel disappointed. Is that something you do? Is that something familiar? Apologizing when you have done nothing wrong to reduce the tension or the perceived tension in that moment. Is that something you do? Explaining yourself to preempt how you might affect someone's feelings or someone's mood so that the other person doesn't think badly of you. Is that something you do? And so if you identify with any of these, by the way, pop a hell yes into the comments underneath this video. If you would like to get a hold of my notes for this presentation, and that's often popular here, then comment responsible underneath this video and I will get you the notes, which are my actual slides for this presentation. More common signs. Trying to improve someone's mood immediately when they're being quiet, maybe irritated, maybe withdrawn, and you step in and you try to improve their mood. Is that something you do? Staying agreeable in a conversation when you actually disagree deep down, but you want to keep the other person happy. Is that something you do? Be honest with yourself, it's really, really worth it. Falling in with someone else's plans, not because you want to, but just to keep them happy. Is that something you do? These are the common presentations of being over responsible for other people's emotions, other people's behavior, other people's actions in the world. And there are a couple more yet. Taking responsibility for resolving someone's bad mood when the situation has nothing at all to do with you. Is that something you do? Is that familiar? Replaying conversations and situations in your mind over and over and over. Scanning for whether you may have said the wrong thing or whether you may have hurt someone's feelings. Does that sound familiar? If it does, pop a hell yes into the comments. We hear you, we see you, and it's all very human. But wait till you see what all of this results in. I'm so excited to bring this to you because I see it so often. So bear with me. So a lot of my clients who do this over-responsible thing have a way of justifying it to themselves. They feel like they're being kind. They feel like they're being considerate. So I want to draw the line here. What is being considerate? What's being over-responsible? So when you do some of these things that we described here, occasionally, that can be called being considerate. But if it becomes a way of life, if you habitually adjust your behavior all the time because you feel responsible for how other people feel, then that's being over responsible. I think drawing the line is the frequency of it, but also the inbuilt mechanism to feel responsible for other people. And when you recognize these things in yourself, then you know this video, this training will bring you on the right track. Here's the thinking mistake behind all of this. This is why being over responsible for other people's feelings, decisions, actions happens. You may think it's my job to prevent upset. And you may think, if they feel bad, I must have done something wrong. And you may think, if someone is upset, I need to fix it. But it isn't actually your responsibility at all. So where is the line on the other side between over-responsibility and people-pleasing? So with over-responsibility, it can turn into people-pleasing, because when you're programmed to keep other people happy, you may already be taking responsibility. There's an overlap there. And how do you learn it? How do you learn to be over-responsible for other people? Well, think about this. As you're growing up, you are picking up so much from your parents, from your caregivers, and even just from the atmosphere in the house that you grow up in. And so you're doing this with an immature brain. An immature brain is easily impressed. An immature brain is very malleable. An immature brain is learning, and this is what you're learning. If you're living in a house like that, where the emotional climate is unpredictable, that becomes your normal. And that's what you're learning. You're learning this is normal. And then you may have a parent or a sibling or some other household member whose mood may dominate the household. And then everybody in the household learns to revolve around that person's mood. And this is your learning environment. And guess what you're learning? You learn to scan for, and ultimately you begin to notice the signs of this really early. The most important thing is you're constantly scanning to see, when is the mood changing? Is there a shift here? Is the shift close? Is it coming up? And this is totally outside of your conscious awareness, because these things happen in the limbic system of the brain. And the signs that you're scanning for, they can be very small signs that you become very attuned to, like someone's tone of voice, like noise from another room, like something your mother whispers to you, very minute things. And you learn to tune into all of these, and very quickly you learn that certain reactions from you when you deal with that a certain way, when the mood is changing, make things easier, and other behaviors may make things worse. And that's how you learn to be very careful about what you say, when you say it, how you say it, who you say it to, how you behave, and all the rest of it. And then over time, the emotional state of the household becomes something you pay really close attention to, because you know very well that it affects how the day or how the evening is going to unfold. And so you're going to log that deeply in your awareness, and it becomes something you're constantly scanning for, you're constantly looking out for, and then you adjust your own behavior around that. And this way of relating to people can continue into adult life. That's generally where being over-responsible comes from, when you've been exposed to a situation like that, where some domineering person is being managed, where a volatile household walks on eggshells around one particular household member, or maybe even two, and sort of manages them. And when you learn that early on, it will continue into adult life, because you learn emotional resilience as you're growing up. Bit by bit, you learn how to do relationship, where you stand in relation to other people, and that's so intensely involved with this, what I'm describing to you here. And that's what I call faulty childhood programming. So faulty childhood programming is something that isn't childhood trauma per se. So we all know trauma is in common cultural awareness. Now, trauma is a massive big thing. So we all know the big trauma flags, like all the abuses, emotional, psychological, physical, sexual. These are all outright trauma. But think about faulty childhood programming like this. This is something that happens every day for many, many years, and it happens to an immature brain, and it happens at an age when you are, from a biological perspective, learning how to be in the world. That's what childhood is about. So of course it's going to really impress you very, very deeply. Of course it's going to stay with you. The reason I call it faulty is because it's not to your advantage. So there's much childhood programming that can be to your advantage. For example, if your parents show you something, if your mother is baking a cake with you, talking you through how to do this, talking you through the ingredients and everything you need to look out for when you're baking this cake, when you're putting it in the oven, giving you guidance when you take the cake out of the oven. That's fantastic learning. That's really positive childhood programming. or when your dad coaches you around a soccer game. Those things are what's meant to happen in childhood. And that's not because of the soccer or of the baking. I'm talking life skills here. It's your parents' role from a biological perspective to pass down essential life skills that you need in order to be successful, essentially, in both life and later in your career. And so they're supposed to teach you how to do relationship in a way that it benefits you. But that's not what we've seen here from the type of programming that we've talked about. What we've seen is that you are bringing your attention towards other people, not towards yourself. And that's why this programming is faulty. And that's why it doesn't work for you in adult life. It's not actually fit for adult life. And there is a cost attached to faulty childhood programming always. And so here in this case, what happens is that a lot of your mental energy goes into preventing emotional friction. And this emotional friction that you anticipate, it's not maybe even real emotional friction even in that moment. But by the time you become an adult, you're so skilled at reading people, reading situations. You're 3 steps ahead of everyone. And so you're working very hard to manage them, to keep them happy. And you're in this role where you take on all of this responsibility and trying to keep everyone happy. And that results in you probably rarely feeling relaxed around people. You're always scanning, you're always doing this process, and social interactions then would leave you very tired naturally, because you're very involved, you're always working, you're always doing this emotional labor all day long. And then when you later realize that you agreed to something maybe that you didn't want to agree to, you may feel anxious, you may feel angry with yourself, and you may not know how to get out of that situation, and there's a huge frustration with that often. I'm talking here from experience of the kind of stuff people have shared with me about this over the years. And you may then be in a place where you're replaying these conversations all day long in your mind. You're wondering whether you upset someone. You're wondering, should you have said X, Y, and Z? You're wishing you had said something else. You're wishing you hadn't gone along with it. And so you're replaying and replaying and replaying, and that too is exhausting and keeping you very, very busy. And so any social interaction brings with it this risk that it's gonna just be very tiring for you. And the other thing is that, of course, your needs and your wants inevitably in this kind of scenario will always come last. And that means your relationships too are going to start to feel one-sided, because you're the one who takes on all that responsibility, and the other party is not coached to step into their big girl or big boy boots, essentially, and you are catering to them and their emotional whims. But it doesn't stop there. So if you identify with this sentence, pop a hell yes underneath the video, if this is true for you, that you have been trying to manage other people's feelings all your life. Is that you? Have you been doing this all your life? And if you are, my heart goes out to you. But it also means that very likely this will create anxiety for you. When you believe that other people's feelings are partly your responsibility, but other people's feelings or reactions are not actually within your control. You cannot control what other people think, what other people feel, what other people decide, how other people behave, completely and utterly actually out of your control. But you're constantly working hard to attempt to control that. So that means you're always living with uncertainty. You're always living to wait, will something go wrong? And that makes you very, very anxious. When you're trying to control something you have no control over, it makes you feel out of control. And being out of control, the feeling of being out of control, not in a rational way, but to your subconscious mind, to your limbic system in the brain that's constantly scanning, etc., etc., wants to keep you safe, to that part of you, it feels out of control. And that will make you anxious. That will make anxiety chronic. It will make anxiety stay. And that can become a lifelong problem. And to resolve it, you need to resolve the root causes. This is the dilemma. Instead of regulating your emotions internally, your emotional stability becomes dependent on the emotional stability of other people. If they're not okay, you don't feel okay. And then, of course, the result is you're not picking up your own emotional regulation. You're not looking after that peace, because you don't even know what you need or want anymore now at this stage. You're a grown-up and you've done it all your life. And the result is chronic emotional dysregulation. Anxiety, in this case. But the ultimate cost of over-responsibility is chronic anxiety, because your emotional state depends on variables that you cannot control. That's, ladies and gentlemen, how this works. So let's talk about how you can stop being over-responsible. And so I'm handing you the keys to the portal here. And we've already looked at the faulty thinking behind it. Are you responsible for other people's feelings, emotions, decisions, actions? No, you are not. No, you are not. And you need to separate from that and no longer take on that responsibility. But here's a little more about that. There are 3 possible stances that you can take when it comes to responsibility. On the far hand left side we have a victim position. In the middle we have the healthy responsibility, and that's where we want you. And on the right we have over responsibility. So let's look at what these mean. Here's the victim position. I have no control, I can't affect any change, and nothing is my responsibility, including managing my emotions. So this is not necessarily that you're consciously deciding this, but this is an emotional undercurrent that will be running there, that you maybe feel powerless over your own life, that maybe you feel life happens to you rather than you making your life happen. And what goes along with that sort of undercurrent is, and I know it's going to be uncomfortable to really take this in, but you're not taking responsibility for your own emotions while you're managing other people. The only time, and that's the only time in life that managing other people's emotions becomes your business, is when you have young children. That's the only time. Because there you're in a holding capacity, you're holding their emotional development, you're teaching them how to manage their own emotions, and then it's appropriate to kind of be a guide around that and become involved in that. Not do it for them all the time. You're going to do it for them when they're very young. You're going to pick them up, console them when they're crying. But already as they are growing up, as they are developing, you will be handing more and more and more responsibility over to them. And as you're doing that step by step by step, your own attention comes back to you, and you fall back into your focus being you and managing your own emotions. But when that victim position is an issue, then you don't do that. You may simply overlook that it is actually your responsibility to manage your own emotions, to look after that anxiety, and you may feel completely helpless around it. And that's the thing. And on the other side, the over-responsibility. I'm responsible for managing the emotions of other people. You lose sight of your own. Right? So both of those completely miss the target. This is what I'm trying to communicate with the fuzzy blob I've put on the graphic. They miss the target in the middle. And the only thing that hits that target in the middle is a healthy sense of responsibility. And that healthy sense of responsibility means your actions and your choices are your responsibility, and so is regulating your emotions. Your responsibility. And let's talk about what you can actually control in life. This is your sphere of influence. This is what you can actually control. Your choices, your actions, your emotions, your feelings, how you look after your body, cleaning up your side of the street, in your relationships, so that you're communicating responsibly, that you're not being mean to other people, that you're not overreaching when it comes to other people, not overstepping the mark, that you're not overstepping the boundaries, right? But that's your side of the street. That's what you're responsible for, and that's what you can control. But here is what you cannot control. Everything else. Everything else is not your responsibility, and in fact, you cannot control it. You cannot control other people's moods, other people's well-being, how other people feel, physical feelings, emotions. You cannot impact that for other people. No, you can do your best. You can be nice to someone. You can be kind to someone. But how they're going to interpret your behavior at every turn is up to them and out of your control. I hope that makes sense. And some of these things may be uncomfortable to hear. So if you see yourself in any of this, if this is valuable for you, if you're getting a lot out of this video, drop a like, drop a love, leave a hell yes comment underneath. So, here's the change that you need to make if this is you. When you stop feeling responsible for, and when you... This sentence isn't making sense to me right now. Give me a moment. When you stop feeling responsible for, and when you are trying to fix other people's emotions, decisions, and actions. Yes, excuse me. When you stop feeling responsible for other people, and when you stop trying to fix other people's emotions, decisions, and actions, then you finally have space to live your own life, anxiety-free. So it's essentially fixing those boundaries. It's fixing your sphere of responsibility, knowing where you begin and end, and where the other person's territory starts. And putting that into practice rigorously. And so if you're someone who feels over-responsible a lot, doing that will liberate you from anxiety. so if you think that regulating your emotions is essential for you, and if you would like to learn how to do this easily and naturally, so for example, if you're someone who's anxious, then my free workshops offer live guided practice around these things. They bring you simple techniques that bypass overthinking, and they bring you real results. Better sleep, better calm, better focus. These techniques, you can bring them with you. You can use them at home. Very, very useful. So register at this link below. So then when you register there, you will be notified about the next date for a free event. As soon as I schedule the next event, you will be notified, and I will be delighted to have you on board. And this is the work I do with my clients. I fix faulty childhood programming with them. Essentially, that's the piece that I have found the most valuable area to work in. And it's almost like for a lot of these issues, people bring, like a lot of my clients would come in with chronic anxiety. And I know for chronic anxiety, for low esteem, it's the same thing. Always, always, always. Like 99.9% of the time. I'm almost surprised at this point if we don't have to cover childhood. Haven't seen it in, I think of a single situation where we didn't have to delve into childhood in some shape or form. So that's what I've started specializing in, because I honestly think this is the key to so many things, and it's a key that's really hiding in plain sight, and at the same time is completely overlooked. It's the key people don't see, and it's the key that in the world of therapy and in the world of coaching, people kind of know about it, but they go about it in a very vague kind of a way. And I've developed a very specific approach around these things. And guess what? With a very specific approach around it, this doesn't have to take years in therapy. You know, very early on in my career, I was in this place too, of years in therapy. I did have clients that I saw for years. Now, mind you, they would have always had a big trauma story. But at the same time, I have learned ways of doing this in a much more effective, efficient kind of a way, where, I mean, think about it, time is the one precious commodity we have that we cannot replace. Time passes, time is gone, you're another year older. So it's my ambition to provide you with a safe, gentle journey from A to Z, and that happens inside the framework of my 16-week high support intensive program called Optimize. And very often my clients, when they come out the other side of Optimize, they describe their experience as life-changing, or they describe it as night and day. So the before experience is like night, and now finally they're back in daylight. So my program helps you clear faulty childhood programming. So if you want a helping hand, that's a possibility. Come along to a free event, see if you like the way I think or like the way I work. And Optimize helps you clear that faulty childhood programming so that you can not only feel better, but also meet your potential much better in life and business. And that's another piece that's entirely overlooked. How your level of emotional resilience that you bring into adult life plays a role in everything you do. Because how you think and feel about yourself just enters into how you perform in every arena in life. And that's a fact. And so this is what I'm very, very passionate about. This is the work I do inside Optimize. And usually at the free events, some people will then want to work with me, and then we can talk about your specific situation, see if it's suitable for you. It's not always suitable, not suitable for everyone, depending on what's happening in your life right now. And that's how it goes. So it's been a pleasure to be here with you and bring you this training, which I hope is really valuable for you. And I will see you again next week for a live training. And until then, be well, have a fantastic weekend, and have a great week.